Malik radiallahu anhu, he says in the authentic hadith, he says that when Prophet Muhammad entered Medina, أضاء منها كل شيء. He says when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered Medina, everything became illuminated with him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he sallallahu alaihi wasallam bring illumination to Medina al-Munawwara. That's why the scholars refer to her as al-Munawwara. Munawwara, the enlightened city. Who was it enlightened by? The coming of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasallam. Because he sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Noor upon Noor. The scholars, they say when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about the Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam, he combined for him the beauty of the moon and the sun in speech. He said regarding him, Sirajan Munira. And Siraj in the Qur'an, it's used to refer to the sun. And Munir is used to refer to the moon. So he sallallahu alaihi wasallam had the beauty of the sun and the moon in his face sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even more beautiful. As one of the Sahaba, he says, one night I was observing the moon, it was a full moon. And then I looked down and I seen the Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam in front of me wearing a red garment. So I started to compare between the beauty of the moon and the beauty of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam's face. He says, by Allah, I found the face of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam to be more beautiful than the full moon. So that statement is a beautiful statement for us to keep in mind. That the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, once our hearts are connected to him, once we start loving and revering him and following his way, just like he sallallahu alaihi wasallam filled Medina with Noor, our hearts and our lives become filled with his sallallahu alaihi wasallam's Noor. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ نُورٌ وَكِتَابٌ مُبِينٌ. The scholars, they said Noor here means Prophet Muhammad. And Kitab Mubin is the Qur'an al-Karim. Another important statement to keep in mind, and we'll end up with this, is the statement of Abdullah bin Salam radiallahu anhu, who was the Habr of the Yahud at that time. He was like the main scholar of the Yahud in Medina. Because Medina had a community of Yahud, a large community of Jews. So one of their main scholars was Abdullah bin Salam. He says when Prophet Muhammad came to Medina, as he was entering, I seen people flocking around him. So I came in with them. And he says the first statement I heard from him, he says first of all, when I seen his face, I knew that it's not the face of a liar. عَلِمْتُ أَنَّهُ لَيْسَ بِوَجْهِ كَذَّابٍ. And he says, I heard him saying, this is the first statement that is heard in Medina. He says, أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ, O people, أَطْعِمُوا الطَّعَامِ, feed the people for the sake of Allah. وَأَفْشُوا السَّلَامِ, and spread greetings among one another. وَصِلُوا الْأَرْحَامِ, and keep your ties of kinship connected and strong. وَصَلُّوا بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّاسُ نِيَامِ, and pray at night while people are asleep. تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ بِسَلَامِ, you enter Jannah with all ease, with salam. And who's the narrator of this hadith? Abdullah bin Salam. So it begins with salam and he ends with salam.